There are 8 billion people on Earth. Right now, you're watching 11 of them. Screen 1, a man in Tehran walking to a cafe. He doesn't know a satellite is tracking his footsteps. He doesn't know that every time he's taken this route for the last 6 months, it's been logged, analyzed, filed. Screen 2, a convoy in North Korea. 3 trucks covered in tarps, military escort, moving at night because they think darkness provides cover. It doesn't, not from you. You know what's underneath those tarps. So does the president. Screen 3, a fishing boat in the South China Sea. Except it's not a fishing boat. The nets are antennas. The fishermen are military intelligence officers. They're monitoring US naval communications. You're monitoring them, monitoring us. You sip your coffee. It's cold. You've been here for 6 hours. You'll be here for 6 more. The screens never sleep. Neither do you. You switch to screen 4. A compound in Syria. Desert. Walls. Guards at the gate. A man steps outside. He stretches. Checks his phone. Looks up at the sky. He can't see you. Nobody can see you. You're 22,000 miles up. But you can see him. You can see the brand of cigarette he's smoking. The targeting software puts a red box around his face. Facial recognition confirms. 94.7% match. Your earpiece crackles. Confirm visual on jackpot. You confirm. Your voice is steady, professional. Somewhere over the horizon, a drone adjusts its flight path. It's been circling for 3 hours, waiting. You won't pull the trigger. You'll never meet the people who do. You don't even know their names. But in about 6 minutes, that man will cease to exist. His body will be scattered across that compound. The guards will panic. The news will report a suspected militant strike. Another name crossed off a list. Because you saw him. Because you're always watching. CIA, NSA, FBI. Everyone knows these names. They're in movies, on TV shows, in the news every week. NRO, 3 letters that meant nothing to the public until 1992. 3 letters that most people still don't recognize. That's by design. The National Reconnaissance Office, founded in 1961 at the height of the Cold War. The Soviets had just put a man in space. America needed to see what they were doing, so they created an agency to watch. Not from the ground, from orbit. For 30 years, the NRO didn't officially exist. Its budget was hidden inside Air Force spending. Its employees told their families they worked for other agencies. Its satellites were launched in secret. In 1992, the government finally acknowledged it existed. But even now, most people have never heard of it. The CIA gets the headlines. The NSA gets the scandals. The NRO gets nothing. That's how they like it. The budget is classified, but estimates put it north of 30 billion. That's larger than the CIA, larger than the FBI, one of the biggest intelligence budgets in the world, and most taxpayers don't know it exists. They don't do human spies. They don't recruit assets in foreign governments. They don't do assassinations. They do something more powerful. They see everything. Every American spy satellite belongs to them. Every image taken from space. Every signal intercepted from orbit. Every piece of intelligence that starts with satellite imagery shows, that's them, that's you, now. You weren't recruited from special forces. You weren't recruited from the military at all. You were recruited from MIT. From Caltech, from Stanford, from the NSA's mathematics department. A professor pulled you aside after class. You'd been doing research on image processing, machine learning before anyone called it that, pattern recognition algorithms. There's a government program, he said. They want people who can process information, lots of it, fast. They're looking for a specific kind of mind. The interviews lasted 3 months. 6 different agencies talked to you. Polygraph tests that lasted 8 hours. Background checks that went back to your kindergarten teacher. They talked to your ex-girlfriends, your high school enemies, the guy you got in a fight with, freshman year of college. They wanted to know everything, not just what you'd done, what you'd thought about doing. The question they kept asking in different ways, over and over. Can you handle seeing things you can't unsee? You said yes. You had no idea what that meant. You're about to find out. Chantilly, Virginia, 30 miles west of Washington, D.C., a massive complex hidden in plain sight. From the outside, it looks like a corporate office park. Glass buildings, parking lots, a cafeteria, the kind of place that makes semiconductors or processes insurance claims. The sign out front says something generic, a fake company name, nothing that would make you look twice. Inside, the most advanced surveillance technology on Earth. The training starts immediately. 8 months of it. Imagery analysis. You learn to read a photograph like a detective reads a crime scene. Shadows tell you the time of day, the angle of the sun, the season. Tire tracks tell you vehicle weight. How recently it rained, which direction they went. The angle of a satellite dish tells you what satellite they're communicating with, which means you know what country they're talking to, what frequency, what level of encryption they think they need. The number of cars in a parking lot tells you how many people are inside. A military base with half the usual vehicles means a deployment. An office building with cars at 3 a.m. means a crisis. Nothing is random. Everything means something. You just have to learn to see it. Pattern of life analysis. Everyone has routines. Everyone. The dictator who visits his mistress every Thursday. You know because his car takes a different route. You've tracked it for 6 months. The general who smokes on the same balcony every morning at 7 a.m. You know his brand. You know when he switched brands. You know what that might mean about his health. The scientist who takes his dog for a walk at 6 p.m. every day. Same route. Same park. Same bench where he sits for exactly 11 minutes. People think they're unpredictable. They're not. They're creatures of habit, and from 22,000 miles up, those habits are perfectly visible. Platform familiarization. You learn every satellite in the constellation. The ones that take still images. Resolution so high you can read a license plate. Timestamp accurate to the millisecond. The ones that record video. Full motion surveillance from space. Hours of footage, tracking a single vehicle through a city. The ones that intercept communications. Phone calls, radio transmissions. Data links, if it broadcasts, they can capture it. The ones that detect nuclear tests. Seismic sensors. Atmospheric analysis. The ability to tell the difference between an earthquake and an underground explosion. The ones we don't talk about. The ones that only a few dozen people on Earth know exist. You won't see those for years, but they're up there. You learn how your intelligence feeds into the kill chain. The image you capture becomes a target package. The target package goes to analysts. The analysts go to policymakers. The policymakers go to the president. And sometimes the president says yes. Then the target package becomes a drone strike, a special forces raid, a cruise missile. You learn that the difference between watch and kill is one phone call, one signature, one authorization. You're not a trigger puller, but you're part of the machine that pulls triggers. You need to understand that. The clearance process takes another 6 months. Just when you thought you'd answered every question, they have more. /sensitive, compartmented information. That's the baseline. That's what everyone here has. That's what the secretary who checks badges has. But within NRO, there are compartments within compartments. Programs within programs. Clearances that don't have names, just code words. Some satellites are so classified that their existence is denied even to other intelligence agencies. The CIA doesn't know about them. The NSA doesn't know. Their imagery goes to maybe 30 people in the entire government. The president, a few cabinet members, a handful of analysts who have been vetted for decades. The capabilities of these platforms are never discussed, never written down, never acknowledged. If you're read into one of these programs, you sign documents that make your previous clearance look like a library card. You agree to restrictions that follow you for the rest of your life. You understand that violations don't mean prison, they mean disappearing. You'll spend years proving yourself before you see those screens. Years of perfect performance, perfect security, perfect discretion, no financial problems, no relationship problems, no problems at all. Boring, stable, reliable. And even then, you might never be read in. Some things are above your pay grade. Some things are above everyone's pay grade except the handful of people who need to know. You learn to be okay with that. You learn that not knowing is its own kind of protection. What you don't know, you can't reveal. What you can't reveal, you don't have to carry. Welcome to the watch floor, the operations center, the heart of the NRO's real-time surveillance capability. Rows of screens, dozens of analysts, the quiet hum of machines processing more data than any human could comprehend. More data than existed in the entire world a generation ago. The lighting is dim, easier on the eyes during 12-hour shifts. The temperature is cool, keeps the equipment running, keeps the analysts awake. This is where the world is watched. At any given moment, NRO satellites are imaging thousands of locations worldwide. Military bases in Russia, nuclear facilities in Iran, terrorist compounds in Syria, government buildings in North Korea. But also shipping lanes. Every major port, every choke point where war could start. Airports, not for security, for tracking, who's flying where, which private jets belong to which oligarchs, refugee camps, humanitarian monitoring, how many people, how fast they're moving, where they're going, natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, real-time damage assessment before the news crews arrive. You don't just watch enemies, you watch everything, because everything might matter, and you won't know what matters until it does. Your first target is a training exercise. Simple, low stakes. Monitor a specific facility in Eastern Europe, report any changes. You're giving coordinates, historical imagery going back 5 years, a baseline of what normal looks like. You spend 12 hours watching a parking lot, counting cars, noting arrival times, departure times, which spaces are always full, which are always empty. It's boring, mind-numbingly boring. You start to wonder if this is really what you signed up for. Then you notice it. A car that arrives every day at 9:07 a.m. Same car, same space. Every day for 6 months. Today it arrives at 8:45. Different route, it drives past the building twice before parking. You flag it. Add a note to your report. Probably nothing. But procedure says flag anything unusual. Your supervisor reviews your report, nods, doesn't say anything. A week later, he pulls you aside. That car you flagged, it belonged to an intelligence officer from a hostile nation. He was casing the facility for a recruitment operation. Your observation triggered a counterintelligence investigation. They rolled up his entire network. You flagged a car that arrived at 22 minutes early, and you stopped a spy operation. 3 months later, there's a ceremony. Classified, of course. Just your team and some people from counterintelligence. They give you a certificate, a letter for your file. You saved the careers of a dozen people at that facility, maybe their lives. Because you watched a parking lot. Because you noticed that 9:07 became 8:45. You never see parking lots the same way again. You never see anything the same way again. The world becomes a puzzle. Every detail matters. Every pattern has meaning. The way people walk, the routes they take, the times they arrive. You start doing it in your personal life. You can't help it. You notice which neighbors leave for work at the same time every day, which cars are new to your street, which lights turn on at unusual hours. Your friends think you're paranoid. Maybe you are, but you've seen what patterns reveal. You've seen what small details can expose. The realization hits you slowly, over days and weeks. Everyone on that watch floor is doing this, all day, every day, thousands of analysts across the intelligence community, tens of thousands of targets, millions of images processed every day, and you're just one piece, one set of eyes in a machine with a million eyes, a machine that never sleeps, never blinks, never looks away. You've been here 2 years now. You've proven yourself. You've earned access to better systems, high-resolution feeds, real-time video from space. The term used internally is God view. It's not a joke. It's not an exaggeration. You can see everything. License plates from space. The resolution is classified, but you can read a newspaper headline if the angle is right. You can see the color of someone's shoes, heat signatures, infrared imaging that sees through darkness, through clouds, through roofs. You can see a car engine that was turned off an hour ago. The heat lingers. You know when they arrived. You can see which rooms in a building have people in them, where they're sitting, whether they're moving. Pattern analysis. Software that tracks every vehicle in the city, learns normal traffic patterns, alerts you to anomalies. A car that takes an unusual route. A truck that visits the same location 3 times in a week. A pattern that emerges from chaos. Night vision. Thermal imaging. Infrared. You're not targeting the families, you're building a pattern. Understanding the network, but you see them anyway. You can't help it. Russian generals, you know their vacation homes, their boats, their mistresses' apartments. You know when they're lying to their wives and when they're lying to their government. You've watched them for so long that you feel like you know them. You don't. You just know their patterns. Chinese missile facilities, you count the warheads, you measure the fuel tanks, you track the trucks that deliver equipment. You estimate their capability down to the last detail. You know more about their nuclear arsenal than most of their own government does. Terrorist commanders, you watch them for months, sometimes years. You learn their habits, their security, their weaknesses. And then one day, you don't watch them anymore because a drone was watching too. And someone made a call. The power is intoxicating. That's the truth. Absolute knowledge. Total visibility. You can watch anyone, anywhere, anytime. But the weight is crushing because you know what this information does. Every target you track is a potential corpse. Every pattern you map is a future operation. Every image you analyze might be the last image of someone's life. You're not pulling the trigger, but you're handing someone the gun. The call comes on a Tuesday afternoon. A high-value target, top 10 on the kill list. You've been tracking him for 8 months. He's careful, never stays anywhere more than 2 nights. Uses couriers instead of phones, changes vehicles constantly, travels with decoys who dress like him, move like him. He survived 6 assassination attempts, drone strikes, raids, car bombs. Every time he slipped away, like he knows they're coming. But you're patient, and you have eyes in the sky that never blink. You've been building his pattern for 8 months. Not just him, everyone around him, his couriers, his guards, his family. The break comes when you notice something. Every few weeks, he visits a specific compound. Remote location, desert. Nothing around for miles. He always arrives at night, leaves before dawn. You check historical imagery, going back 2 years. Every visit you can find. The visits align with new moon cycles. Maximum darkness. He thinks darkness hides him. He's wrong. Thermal imaging doesn't care about darkness. To you, he glows. The confirmation takes 3 nights of continuous monitoring. You're watching the compound on a new moon. No visible light. No one watching would see anything. But you're watching in infrared. And at 2:17 a.m. local time, 3 vehicles arrive. Heat signatures show 11 people entering the compound, most of them dispersed to guard positions. One of them walks toward the main building. He walks with a distinctive gait, a limp, left leg. You've seen this before. 3 years ago, a drone strike hit a compound where he was staying. He survived, but he was injured. Since then, he walks with a slight drag on his left side. You pull up archive footage. The gait matches, step for step, angle for angle. It's him. You build the target package, everything you know, imagery of the compound, every angle, every building, every vehicle, pattern analysis when guards rotate, where they patrol, the gaps in their coverage, entry points, vulnerabilities, escape routes. It goes up the chain. NRO to CIA, CIA to JSOC, JSOC to the White House. Meetings are held, legal reviews, operational planning. 48 hours later, authorization comes down, execute. You're watching live when it happens. A drone feed on one screen, satellite on another, different angles, same target. The compound is quiet, 2 a.m. local time. Most of the guards are at the north end. The main building is where the heat signatures are concentrated. 2 missiles. Hellfire. They streak across your screen in infrared. Bright white against the dark. Direct hit. The building erupts. Heat blooms across your sensors. The signatures that were moving a moment ago are still now. You switch to damage assessment. High resolution imagery. Count the bodies. 11 heat signatures entered. 0 are moving. You scan for survivors. For anyone who might have escaped, the perimeter is clear. Target eliminated. High confidence. You file the report. Target eliminated. Collateral damage 3. Within acceptable parameters. What does that mean, acceptable parameters? You don't decide. You just count. You clock out. The sun is coming up. You've been on shift for 14 hours. You drive home. The streets are quiet. Everyone else is just starting their day. Going to work. Taking kids to school. Normal things. You make dinner, breakfast, whatever meal it is when you've been awake all night. You watch TV. The news is on. They're talking about a militant strike overseas. A top terrorist eliminated. They show a map. A vague location. You know exactly where it was. You watched it happen. You counted the bodies. The news anchor moves on to the next story. Weather, sports, traffic. You turn off the TV. You watch a man die from 22,000 miles away. You didn't pull the trigger. You didn't launch the missile. You didn't even give the order. But you held the flashlight. You pointed and said there. You confirmed the target. You made the kill possible. Is that better? Is that worse? You stopped asking. The question doesn't have an answer. Or it has too many answers. Some days you feel like a hero. You stopped a terrorist. You saved lives. The people who would have died in his next attack will never know they were in danger. Some days you feel like something else. You watched a man take his last breath. You don't know his name. You only know his code name. Jackpot. A playing card designation for a human being. He had a family somewhere. Children, maybe. A mother who will mourn him. Friends who will remember him differently than you do. But he chose his path. He built bombs. He killed innocents. He was going to keep killing until someone stopped him. You stopped him. That has to be enough. You make it enough. After years on the watch floor, you've seen things. Things that don't involve weapons or operations. Just humanity. Unfiltered. Unaware. You've watched genocide in slow motion. A country in Africa. Ethnic tensions that had been simmering for decades. And then, one day they boiled over. You watched villages burn. Not in news footage.